Hey friends, it's Ace and we are back for another video. Today we are going to do beginner tries and I'm going to take you along on my beginner tries yarn dyeing journey. And so recently I participated in an all-day retreat, a yarn retreat, and one of the classes was a yarn dyeing class. And so I wanted to give you a little bit more of a full-length episode of my experience. This is not going to teach you how to necessarily dye yarn, but kind of just walk you through my experience so I can show you what a beginner might experience when dyeing yarn for the first time. So let's get your work in progress and let's go dye some yarn. So in the kit that I got with the Woolberry Fire Cabin retreat came with a dye making kit. It came with a pair of gloves, a mask, some dye, some citric acid, 3 cups, a bear skein, and then the zip tie for the bear skein. So as you can see, it is a fingering weight yarn, is totally undyed, so the first thing that I do is put half the packet of citric acid that was provided in the kit, and I kind of swished it in the bowl of water, and then I completely submerged the yarn in that, and I let it soak for a while because we want to be able to let all the fibers kind of soak in the water while we get the stove set up. And on the stove, I just have a stainless steel pan filled with about a digit's depth of water. As you can see, I had some difficulty with our metal burner getting it going, but my partner was able to help me. I put in the rest of that citric acid in the pan and I swished it around. The pan is heating up. As you can see, I put in my first base color into the pan, and so I then put in the yarn in the pan and I really let that kind of just soak in the heat for a while. I would swish it around every now and then as I was preparing some of the other dyes. You didn't see me mix the dyes. I did that off camera, but the packet came with 4 colors and they were powders, and I would just put the 3 of them in cups, the base and the 2 variegation colors, and mix it with water. And then with each kind of color, I would layer it in spots in the pan beyond the base. And so we did the base color first, and then we did 2 colors of variegation. So here I am doing that variegation. I just did the first color, and now I'm about to do the second color. And she was just telling us that we kind of, since this is variegated yarn, which is what we were trying to do, we were trying to kind of create pockets of color. And so that's what you can see, what I am trying to recreate as I'm adding in all of the color. I did end up using all of the color. Some people did not. It's just kind of a personal preference thing. And so as you can see, my pan is heating up, and you want this to happen because what happens is the yarn is basically going to absorb all that color. You'll know when you're done when it's clear, and that's when we do the speckles. I'm preparing the speckles kind of off camera or side camera, and because I'm waiting for the yarn to fully absorb all of the color, because that is what we are going to do, is then do the speckles. Prepping for the speckles here because we don't want a lot of water in the pan, so I end up taking the yarn out of the pan and then I dump out most of the water. I only wanted a little bit of yarn or water left. As you can see, I kind of do it again because I didn't end up taking out as much water as I would like. So I ended up taking most of the water out and only allowing a little bit, because I was told that we don't want a lot of water to really get the sprinkles of the speckles through. And then we just go in and kind of like sprinkle like salt all over to get the pattern that we want. I did leave a little too, I found out after I left a little too much, and so there are definite like bleeding spots instead of speckles, but there are areas where it really comes through. And so the idea is you want the steam to kind of set in the speckles, and so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of waiting for the steam to really set that in. And so once the steam has set that in, I take things off the burners and just let it come to room temperature, because what we're going to do after everything has set and come to room temperature, we're going to wash the yarn with some wool wash. So the yarn has come to room temperature, and now you can kind of see it really in all its glory. It's a really neat blue with speckled copper. And so I'm going to now wash the yarn. It is a non-rinse wash, so I didn't need to worry about washing it, but washing it out, rinsing it out. So I'm just kind of massaging it a little bit, and then really just kind of getting all that excess moisture out of the yarn. And I kind of run my hands through it multiple times, so that way I can get as much moisture out, because I'm really going to want to let this sit probably overnight so it can dry completely. You guys, I'm so excited to show you the finished yarn product. It has now sat for a few days and dried completely, and I wanted to show it to you. Oh, look at it! Look at all the blues and the copper speckles. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible at skeining the yarn up into a hank. I looked at some videos to see how to do it, but this is the yarn that I dyed for myself as part of the yarn class, and I'm so excited with how it turned out. I love it. So I just wanted to give you kind of some final thoughts on yarn dyeing as a beginner. I absolutely loved the yarn dyeing class, and I really want to try yarn dyeing again in larger quantities, so that way perhaps I could make something more substantial like a sweater out of it. I really loved the yarn dyeing. It's so fun to see the yarn go from something really bare to something cool, and it was super easy to follow along and pretty easy to do with minimal supplies. Like on my end, the only supply that I actually had to purchase was the pan. I'd love to get some more yarn dyeing supplies and do some more skeins to perhaps build out some skeins in my yarn stash that I made myself just for personal use. It was super easy to follow. It was something I could do in an afternoon. I easily probably could have dyed just in that one pan 3 whole skeins myself, as long as I had enough of the dye powder. And so let me know if you want to see that in the future as a video. I think I'm definitely going to do it, and so looking forward to sharing that. Let me know what your thoughts. Have you ever tried yarn dyeing before? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for coming along on my yarn dyeing experience as a beginner. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you can get some more videos like this where I, as a beginner, try new kind of fiber activities like yarn dyeing, and I have a few other yarn related projects in mind for beginner tries in the future. So thanks so much for watching, friends, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye now.